I get a lot of people asking me how we were blessed to walk away from corporate America in our early 30s. Well, listen, I don't want to keep that a secret. I want to share it with the world. And so maybe you're listening to this podcast and you're trying to figure out, how do I even get started on my journey of entrepreneurship and getting to a level of freedom? Well, text the word freedom to 737 777 9909. Enter your information in, and we look forward to sharing some information with you. A proven system with small overhead, right? That you can do part-time, spare time, right from the comfort of your home, and have amazing mentors, coaches, and a community of entrepreneurs who are willing to support you and help you on your journey to freedom. Welcome to Code Freedom. I'm your host, Eddie Bales. Have you ever felt stuck? Have you ever felt like there's got to be more than life than the reality that you see every day? Tune in weekly, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays as we crack the codes to freedom in every area of your life. Welcome to Code Freedom. This is your host, Eddie Bales, and this is episode 195. And I'm excited today because we're going to talk about discipline. Because discipline is one of those things that we don't like to talk about often, but it's so critical towards freedom because you're going to need it in every area. I mean, think about it. If you want a nice, healthy, optimal body, I mean, what good is having wealth if you don't have the health to enjoy it, right? Well, you're gonna have to be disciplined. If you want a great relationship with your family, with your spouse and your kids, you're gonna have to be disciplined. Sometimes they're gonna get on your nerves, but will you be disciplined to stay to see it through, right? You may not feel like building your business. Maybe you're not motivated, but you got to stay disciplined. And by the way, I heard a guy, I can't even think of his name, but he says, look, stay disciplined long enough and then you'll be motivated. So for those of you who you're lacking the motivation, just stay disciplined. Do it when you don't feel like doing it. I heard a quote long time ago, says motion creates emotion. So if you do the activity, eventually, like for instance, if I don't feel like working out, but I start doing the push-ups and doing the sit-ups and doing the curls and using the dumbbells and all that stuff, eventually, as I get into it, I'm gonna start to feel, I'm gonna start to feel different, right? Because motion creates emotion. It's like the law of inertia. Something that is in motion tends to stay in motion. But if you're not in motion, it's hard sometimes to get that thing going. So what I would just say is stay in motion, stay going, stay steady, right? I did a training this morning for some people, and I talked about the compound effect. If you think about, let's just think about a tub of water, or like the sink, right? And let's just say you have a drip, and it's a slow drip. So there's water dripping from the sink, from the faucet, and somehow you don't realize that the drain is covered. So that slow drip, you come back later, and the whole sink is full of water, almost about to overflow. And you're like, how in the world did this one little drip over time could cause this, like, almost about to overflow over, right? Well, it's simply because that it wasn't the drip, it was the compound effect. It was the time. Last week we talked about, the last episode we talked about the piñata, as part of the Code Freedom Book Club, which, by the way, I'm really enjoying reading the book, The Power of One More by Ed Milet. We started a book club and we're sharing on our Facebook page. We have a Facebook group. So if you want to engage with us in conversation as we talk about the book, definitely join that group. You can just go to thewaytofreedom.info, thewaytofreedom.info. And we're talking about the book, but and we also have a segment in this episode where we talk about the book. That's just a side note. But again, we talked about the pinata, and all the kids come and hit the pinata, and it's not breaking. And then finally, the one kid hits it, and it breaks. And you would easily say, did the kid have the supernatural strength? No, it was just that it was a compound effect of all those hits over time. It's the compound effect of the drip over time that caused the sink to be full of water, right? It's the compound effect of you being disciplined over time that will cause you to have any success in any area that you want, but you gotta do it when you don't feel like doing it. There's another quote that says, "If you don't discipline yourself, someone else will pay you to be disciplined." And look, it's so interesting because we'll be we'll be disciplined for a boss, but we won't be disciplined for ourselves. Wow, think about that. Like how is it that we could work 8 to 10, 12 hours a day, 40 hours a week, right? Some of us back breaking jobs. I had them. I know exactly what it's all about, right? With the manual labor, right? No matter what the job is, we'll be disciplined for them. We'll get up, we'll get breakfast, we'll iron our clothes, get our clothes together, do all the stuff that we do in the morning, go through rush hour traffic, all that stuff to get there on time, to be disciplined, to do that operation for 8 hours. But then we come home and we don't want to be disciplined anymore. We don't want to be disciplined to at least spend an hour building our business, or at least spend 30 minutes working out, or at least spend some time with your family, making sure that you're building the solid relationships and creating memories and things of that nature. So this is powerful. This is important. This is significant, and this is so necessary that we get this as something that becomes a part of who we are, that we become the disciplined person, right? And so maybe we'll do some more episodes on discipline. Maybe we'll even have some guests who really exhibit discipline, because I want all of us to get that, because you really can't unlock freedom without discipline, because you're going to need it for so many different things on your journey to success. You're going to need it, right? You're going to need the discipline for growth. You're going to need the discipline. Okay, so what happens when you start earning extra income? You're going to need the discipline to invest that money properly. Otherwise, you made it and you lost it, right? And so these are some key principles, key things that we need to do, right? And even including myself, right? I have it. I can be disciplined in some things, but there are other things that I need to work on in the discipline department, right? And so I'm not talking at you, I'm talking with you. And that's the thing I love, is that as Code Freedom, as a Code Freedom audience, we get to grow together, right? I don't want to put myself at a high level where I've arrived, because I'm still learning. I'm still a student. I'm still growing. I'm still working on me. But the beauty is we can come together on a podcast like this, and we can just talk about ideas and strategies and concepts and things that can help us to get to a better place. And this right here is probably one of the most important things that you can do, is study and master discipline in your spiritual life, right? I mean, there's so many areas where we need to and have to be disciplined, right? I mean, I set alarms and to reminders to remind me to do certain things, because I don't want to forget them. I want to make sure that I stay on track. I want to make sure that I stay disciplined, because I know that it's the little things that make the big things happen. Right? We often think it's the big things that make the big things happen, but no, it's the little things done over time that make the big things happen. It's the things that you do when nobody else is watching that make all the things that happen when everyone is watching, right? I mean, the person that's a championship in the ring, that's not when they really became a champion. They became a champion when they were in the locker room. They became a champion when they were in the gym working out, when they were sweating and had the tears, and they it was 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning. They just didn't feel like getting up to work out, but that they decided to push through and be disciplined, and that emotion created emotion, because again, as long as you stay in motion, if you stay ready, you never got to get ready. If you stay ready, you never got to get ready. And so, listen, this is a somewhat of a short episode, but I just hope it's impactful for you, because I just wanted to really just give you that booster shot in the arm to remind you, hey, bro, hey, sis, hey, uncle, nephew, aunties, whoever you are, whoever's listening, stay disciplined. Be disciplined. Stay strong enough, long enough, so that you can see the results. Because remember, on the last episode, we talked about the invisible progress. right? And it's happening. Things are happening. You just don't see it. And if you stay strong enough, long enough, you will see it. Then other people will see it. And then next thing you know, you're living your dream lifestyle and you've achieved your freedom. So God bless you guys. We're going to go into our book club. And I appreciate you all for listening to this episode. So this is our Code Freedom Book Club, and we're reading The Power of One More by Ed Mylett. Really, really great book. And I just want to share just two concepts that he talks about that I think are really, really, really powerful. And if you want to engage with us, join the Way to Freedom.info in our Facebook Code Freedom community group. And I love to hear from you. Like, what are you getting from the book? Did you actually get the book? Right? That's step number one. Is did you actually get the book? And are you actually reading it? And let's grow together. That's the whole goal of this podcast. But it talked about 5 principles of time management, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but I love what it said. And it talked about add more days to your day. How do you do that? Like, we all only have 24 hours a day, right? Well, that's what they say. But he talks about a way where you can add more to your day. And so what he does is from 6 to noon, he calls that the first day. And from noon to 6, he calls that the second day. And then from 6 to midnight, he calls that the third day. And basically, what he's doing is he's breaking it up into intervals. And basically, he says, while some are living 7 days in a week, like 21 days in a week. He's saying approach the day by dividing it into many days. This way, you get to shrink the finish line, so it becomes a sprint. So it's almost like you're compressing time frames, and I love that idea. I love that concept because success requires urgency, and they say success loves speed, and that's what he's kind of talking about. And I just really love that idea. But there's one other idea he talked about is he says measure your performance often. And I think that's important too, because if he says if you're going to shrink the time frames and increase the urgency, you also have to shrink the intervals of how often you measure performance. Because see, how do we know how we're doing? How do we, if we're not checking the gauges, then how do we know if we're on our way to that goal? If we're on our way to freedom? Like, how do you know if you're on your way to freedom if you don't even know how much debt you have? Right? The key to freedom is having a passive income greater than your expenses. If you don't know how much your expenses are, you should know the exact dollar amount. And then how much passive income do we have? So are we actually actively building some passive income to get to that point of freedom, or are we just existing? You get what I'm saying? So we got to check the gauges. We got to know where we are. I was fortunate to hit a major goal in our business recently. And look, you guys have heard me talk about it. I've been working on this goal for a little while, but I've been checking the gauges on a consistent basis. So I knew where we were at. I knew how close we were getting, and it was getting exciting and nerve wracking at the same time. But I've been checking the gauges, so at least I know where we're at. And I want you to know where you are. I want you to check the time. I want you to check the gauges often, so that it doesn't matter what capacity. If you're trying to lose weight, okay, how much did we lose today? How much did we lose this week? Right? How many calories have we burned? Right? I mean, it doesn't matter what area you're looking to focus on, although all areas are important, but it doesn't matter what area you're focused on. The key is that we must check the gauges. So I just thought this was a powerful portion of the book, those two little nuggets, and I can't wait to share with you guys on the next episode about more of the book. Take care, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys for listening. Definitely feel free to take a screenshot of this episode, tag me in it on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you find me on social media. I would love to give you a shout out. Hey, you might even get a prize. Who knows? But excited that you had a chance to take a listen. I hope you got a lot of value. And definitely feel free to give us 5 stars as well as a review. Show us some love, and we appreciate you. God bless you all, and see you all over the top.